Hello, everybody out on Facebook. This is Tom Bird. I'm the incident meteorologist with Southwest Team 2 here on the Hermes Peak Calf Canyon Fire. And here's your daily weather update for today on Saturday, June the 4th, I believe is where we're at. Man, we're well into 2 months of this fire. That's crazy. And I was here early on in April when this fire was not much more than 400 acres. So a lot of growth since then. As we've been doing, we start out with some satellite imagery showing the clouds across the region. This is the Texas Panhandle right here where I'm pointing. The Four Corners right here, the intersection between Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. Our fire is right here in the Sangre de Cristos. White Sands National Monument down there shows up really nicely on this true color visible satellite imagery. What you see is a lot less clouds. If you've been watching this the last 2 mornings, we had a lot of low clouds over the eastern plains of New Mexico with that really hard push of moisture out from the Gulf of Mexico back west into our area. But that's been pushed out of the area, and so now we're dealing with much drier conditions. You see a little bit of cloud cover come off of the peaks of the Sangre de Cristos, but moving off to the east, and now we're sitting with sunshine. And probably, I don't know if you can see it behind Jasmine up here, but there's some high clouds going to be moving in this afternoon, but we'll still be sunny. But all this just shows us that based on comparisons between yesterday and the day before, we're starting out much drier today. So let's go to the next slide. And what we're going to do is take a look at yesterday's convective activity across the area, showing how much rain, where it happened, and then the lightning across the area. And we're really fortunate to be able to overlay the perimeters of the fires. This is the Cook Peak, the Hermes Peak, and then the Cerro Pelado fires across the area. And this is about 24 hours of precipitation across northeastern New Mexico. And what you see here is where it rained and how much it rained. You can see the bar here. Notice on the Hermes Peak Calf Canyon fire here where we're at, just a little bit of rain over the northern zone. So we got this fire zone from north and south. So just a little bit of rain over the Cleveland and Mora areas. This moved through Mora County. Nothing down here in San Miguel County where we're at. So we didn't get any rain on the fire yesterday. We got a little bit the day before, not much, but nothing yesterday. And over here on the far left, this is the lightning strikes from yesterday, and so we had a lot of lightning coming off of these cells right here on the north side. A lot of lightning passing to our south and a lot of lightning off to our east, but nothing over the fire. And you say, oh, that's too bad. We missed out on the rainfall. And that's true, but we had the good relative humidity, which was very helpful. And the one thing we didn't have, which we don't really want, is lightning over the fire with all those firefighters out there in the field in harm's way. Lightning is always deadly, right? And so if you're out in the field and you're amongst trees, you really have no safe place to go. And so it's really a good thing that we ended up without lightning over the fire yesterday. And of course, if we would have got some of this heavier rain fall over the fire, that burn scar, we're really prone now to flash flooding, debris flows off of that burn scar. So it's really good that we got the relative humidity up, but we didn't get the heavy rain. So actually, it's kind of a mixed bag, but it actually worked in our favor for firefighter safety. So let's move on now to the next one. And as we've been doing, we show today's weather map. And if you noticed, last several days, this green area, which shows the areas of showers and thunderstorm potential, has been over this area where the fire is, right here in northeastern New Mexico. That has now been shoved off to the east, out into the plains, well to our east. And so now we're dealing with high and dry weather, right? So we're going to start seeing a little bit warmer, a lot drier weather conditions going forward. So that means we're done with that 3-day period of showers, thunderstorms, and elevated relative humidity. So let's go on to the next slide. And that next slide is something I haven't shown before. This is a chart that shows the high and the low temperatures each day going back to Wednesday of this week. This is where we're at today on Saturday, and going all the way through next Saturday. And on top, you're looking at temperatures. Down below, we're looking at how much moisture is in the atmosphere over the fire. So what we're seeing here is we're now into a warming trend that will last through early next week. So through the weekend, today and tomorrow, and the first couple of days of this week, we're going to be just a little bit warmer each day, both on the highs and on the morning lows. And so these temperatures will end up being just 5 to 7 degrees above what's typical. So that is concerning because the warmer the air is, the warmer the fuels are, the more likely they are to want to burn. Let's go to the bottom chart now. This shows these last 3 days where we had a lot of good moisture in the area, and we measure that with something we call dew point. And it's just how much moisture is in the air. And we're not going to get into the particulars of that, but we want those numbers up. And when those numbers are above 30%, that tells us we have a pretty good amount of moisture in the atmosphere. And that's why we were seeing those showers and thunderstorms in the vicinity of the fire the last 3 days. Well, here we are today. And what happened last night was that moisture really dropped pretty low. And so we're getting into a very dry period, especially today and into tomorrow and through Monday. So each day we start to get a little bit more moisture over the area, but we have a period Saturday through Tuesday where we're going to be quite dry. We get past Tuesday, we start to see moisture creeping back in from the plains like what we just saw. That means we'll get a little easterly push with a backdoor front, and we've got a lot of Gulf moisture out there. And it will start pushing in with those easterly winds, and we start to see those measures of moisture come back up. Pretty similar to what we were seeing. And that means we'll reintroduce chances of showers and thunderstorms midweek into late week. When that happens, when that moisture comes in, you'll notice it also flattens the temperatures. We'll get a little bit of cooling. That's because more moisture, more clouds, chances of showers usually tends to drop. The temperatures, you don't get as much sunshine, right? So this is what it looks like going forward. So now we'll go next to the matrix, which we show every day, because that really helps us to see by color what the fire weather burning conditions look like. Green is moderated. We really want to see a lot of green because that really lowers the intensity and the growth potential of the fire. Red is what we really don't want to see, but you can see right now we're in this period from Saturday through Tuesday where we have a lot of this elevated and critical type weather elements. So warming temperatures through the weekend into early next week, very low afternoon relative humidities. Remember that RH is a measure of the dryness or the wetness of the air. So 0, these lower numbers are really dry, and the higher numbers are more moisture. So in the mornings when we want that relative humidity to come back up, it's going to be struggling. It's going to stay low. And then the afternoons get back down below that 15% number. That's when we start calling it critically dry. Also the winds. Every day we're seeing westerly winds, and those westerly winds come from an area with no moisture, so it tends to keep us dry. And the afternoons will be breezy, at least breezy, maybe marginally windy. So this is more of an elevated, near critical type period that we're going to have through Tuesday. But like we were showing on the last slide, Wednesday, Thursday, midweek and beyond, we start seeing that moisture come in. So the RHs come up, the temperatures come down a little bit, and that gives us more moderated burning conditions. I think I have 2 more slides. Let's go to this next slide. What this shows us is typically when fire season for across the Southwest is at its peak for different portions of the region. We're here in this Southwest area, number 10. And we see that the peak of seasonal fire danger isn't now, isn't last week, it's still 3 weeks away. So we're still ramping up into fire season right now. And the way we calculate that is this chart right here. It's called ERC, Energy Release Component. And we're not going to get into exactly what it means, but we're going to just look at this gray line. Basically, it's telling us how dry the fuels are, and if they burn, how much energy it releases. The drier they are, the more energy that comes out when they burn. And so we're looking for that peak through the year. This goes from January all the way through December, and we're looking for that high point. And that high point is right there. If you follow it down to the date, it's this date right here. So our fuels, because of the atmospheric conditions this time of year still being dry, our fuels are still getting drier and drier because we're just not seeing that precipitation. So it's not until mid to late June that we get to that peak, and when we finally start to see those fuels taking moisture back in. So the takeaway here is that as bad as it's been, for as long as it's been, we're still gliding up towards the peak of fire season. So one more slide today, and this is When do we get out of that peak of fire season and get that moisture back into those fuels to the point where they're not going to be so readily burnable? And then we'll still have fire after this date, but we're not really anticipating large, long-term fires after this date. And that's July 1st here. And how does that happen? Well, the same thing that just happened and what's going to happen at the end of the week, where we get these pushes from the east that brings that Gulf moisture in. It'll only stay for a day or two or three, but we keep doing that over and over and over again. And each one of those brings in a little bit of moisture, and over the course of a week or two, we get enough moisture in those fuels that they're not as burnable, and we're out of large fire season. So this date ranges from a week before, a week after, but it gives us a target. It gives us a time that we think that on average, over the course of like 30 plus years, this is about the date when we get moist enough from this Gulf moisture moving in repeatedly that we're out of fire season. So that's kind of the update for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate you. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.